Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 118, I believe, and I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with my good-looking friend, wearing the same t-shirt as last week, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going?
Just been a fashion mogul, bro. How are you?
Yeah, I'm as usual, fight anyone.
Too much wrestling for you.
Shouldn't have done that, actually, because I'm in the gym like 5 nights a week now, and my chest is pretty sore.
I can imagine.
Pretty.
Are you back to doing the boxing or are you doing the weights?
Both.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, boxing every night and weights, and yeah, it's good fun and it's something to do, isn't it?
I love it.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Nipping into the gym at 11 o'clock at night when no one's in there.
Getting after it.
I mean, actually, no boxing for a while because, and this is the proudest moment of my life, though to be fair, I can't really take credit for this, but I'm going to anyway. I punched the heavy bag off the wall. Now, I think it was just installed poorly. I didn't punch it clean off the wall, but yeah, I loosened the bracket from hitting this bag every night, and had to contact the gym and was like, I think you need to fix the supports of that heavy bag.
Fucking
and that blew up in my face because they were like, okay, yeah, we're going to take it down until we can get our joiner to come in and fix it. I'm like, sweet. So now I could have just got up there and fixed it myself. I destroyed it. I am God.
Get a staff member to just hang off one of the rafters. Just punch them.
Yeah, good idea. How's life for you? Getting busy?
I'm in a crabbit mood, as I was telling you just before we started filming. A couple of things have went wrong for me today and yesterday. I went from being kind of, I wouldn't say top of the mountain, but certainly in a good mood to just kind of crashing back towards reality. So I'm probably going to be fairly crabbit throughout this episode. The worst part being this morning discovering a Deliveroo that I certainly didn't place. I don't have a Deliveroo account.
Can we even get Deliveroo in Wishaw?
Nah, probably not.
No.
Probably not. But the more annoying part is not that there was a transaction that I had to query, but the fucking amount. You remember how much I said, Levi?
£183, I think you said.
Close, 182.
182.
Who the fuck orders £182 of food in a morning?
Well, at least it's not 183.
Fair. Fair. Aye, so I need to go and deal with that bollocks.
Yeah.
I've got some other bollocks to deal with. As anybody that's tuned in before knows, I am not afraid of a corporate complaint. So I have to go to the ombudsman again. This one, genuinely, I'm fighting tooth and nail because I'm not happy about. But that's another story. Yeah. Outside of that, everything's pretty good. Man, I was at band practice last night. A friend of mine popped by for a quick visit and filmed us playing a couple of songs. We were just practicing. Cool. And he sent me the videos last night. And not only did they sound amazing, we sound really tight.
Sure.
I was like, thank fuck, that's great, man. Because it's a nice wee pat in the back for us playing Bloodstock next weekend.
Yeah. Not this coming weekend, but next weekend.
Correct,
weekend
13th,
after.
14th, 15th. We're on the Saturday, second stage.
Because I don't get to say I'm playing, but next weekend I'll be up in Inverness for, I forget what, the Capers at Cannock, I believe it's called, where Melissa is headlining on Saturday night.
Tremendous, man.
Yeah,
absolutely tremendous.
That'll be fun. And obviously, because we started dating through lockdown, I've not had the opportunity to see her gig. So
you're expecting to be blown away?
She's got a wee warm-up set on the Friday as a solo thing, and then on the Saturday night headlining with Melissa Kelly and the Smoking Crows.
That'll be ridiculous.
So, looking forward to seeing that. That'll be cool. And anyone that wants to come up to Capers at Cannock, please do have a beer. Get me through glamping festivals. Fucking bleh.
Yeah, we'll love it. Don't kid yourself on. And if anybody's got a bit of Bloodstock, come and say hello.
Absolutely.
I think we're travelling down. We should be there the Friday night, and then we're leaving on Sunday morning. So we'll pretty much be about all day Saturday.
So let's talk about gear. Let's start the show. Before we do fan mail, let's talk about gear. So updates of gear in my life. You noticed that I have a power supply over here now, so I can...
That you haven't touched.
Can build a pedal board. Well, so the thing is, in my mind, I'm starting to put a lot of thought into the fact that I've got this hybrid guitar showing up, right? And obviously that's got dual outputs on it.
Yes.
So I need to be thinking about when I'm building this pedal board, both a guitar channel, a guitar path, and a bass path for my signal chain. This is annoying because I love my looper pedal.
Right.
There's no way that I can't. And I mean,
yes,
I guess
there is.
If I have the looper, no.
You could get an active ABY and reverse it, and have both inputs into it, then into a summed mono, which can go into your looper.
I'd have to think really hard about that.
Here is your ABY pedal, and you turn it upside down, and you put the cables the other way. Two inputs into that to one output, rather than one input to two outputs. And as long as you've got an active one, it should be all right.
Two inputs to one output.
Yep, it'll sum it into mono.
Sure, but then I'd need a third. No, because I don't want it mono, because it's going to go. It's two separate signal chains: guitar signal chain, bass signal chain.
Yep.
Going through the pedal board in separate ways, and then coming out and going to different outputs, going to different amps.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be two.
Where do you want the looper in that?
It would really have to be after the pedal board. There's just honestly, I'm racking my brains on it, and ultimately I don't think it's that important. It's just something I'm used to with the guitar. So I think what I'll do is I'll have it in the guitar signal chain, so it's there if I'm using just a guitar. But for the hybrid, that won't be an option.
There will be a way to do that.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine does a lot of pedal boards and live sound for a lot of big artists. He did Guthrie Govan's stuff for the Hans Zimmer tour.
Okay.
And he's recently built a board for Idols and stuff. So I could probably put you in touch with him, and you could see if he can help you.
Bounce some ideas.
Because his builds are beautiful and really well done. He gets support off gig rig and stuff.
Right.
Because he knows what he's doing.
Sure. Here's the thing that you might find very interesting, though. What I'm thinking about, and maybe somebody that watches the show wants to take this on as a job, I'm thinking of having a custom cab built. Because I need a bass rig, obviously. And I'm thinking, well, I'll buy a bass amp, I've got guitar amps, but why not have one cab with two inputs in it, with a 15-inch speaker on the bottom and two 12s at the top? That's doable, right?
Absolutely.
Can't see a reason why I couldn't do that.
No, you definitely could.
And then I could just sit two heads on top of it, which I think would save a little bit of space over having two separate rigs.
Just the same idea as having a stereo cab, except one side's more for bass and one side. I mean, because you could even make it really easy for yourself in sense of the bass side of it have a speak-on connector. No,
take your word for it.
Imagine an XLR that you put at an angle and twist it clicks in.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Right? Usually get them mostly on bass amps and then like speaker cabs and stuff.
Right.
And then just your normal jack for your guitar.
Sure.
Because then you'll know exactly what's going where.
Yeah.
And even if, like, say you're out gigging or whatever, if that ever happens again, I don't know what you'll be doing.
We've got stuff lined up for me playing the hybrid. So
Exactly. So, say you turn up, I don't know, like a jazz venue or whatever, or I'd imagine that would be the kind of thing you could probably play in, like, a piano bar and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe want to look at a smaller form factor idea for your hybrid cab, just because you're not really about tailing something like that about when most people that turn up probably playing jazz guitar have got a tiny wee. So
the question I have to ask is, like, what speaker options would I have for a bass cab, right? 15 seems to be the go-to, but, like, could you get away with a 12-inch speaker?
Absolutely.
Because you have a 12-inch speaker and two 10-inch speakers for the guitar.
You could have two 12s. You could have a 12 that's more voiced for bass and a 12 that's voiced for acoustic.
Well, this is good. We've got lots of options. So.
I don't think you need a tweeter. I wouldn't think that would do you any benefits. Although saying that, you could have one. You could have it switchable. You can switch it on and off, so that if you are playing stuff that needs a lot of high end, have that. But I think you get away with that. I know quite a few musicians that kick about and gig actively with like 1x12 bass amps. As long as you've got a decent speaker with a decent rating and something pushing it, then
sweet.
So, there
you go. That's my excitement. I'm hoping to get some pictures of my baby today. Probably won't happen, but you know, if it does, if it's happened by the time the show goes live and we're in the Monday Night Guitar Geek Club, I will make sure I get that posted in the comments section. A few bits of feedback from the show last week. One, no one enjoyed it. I mean, it's not that no one. You talk too much. I think that's what it is.
I always talk too
much.
The
numbers on the show were pretty low, but you were talking most of the episode, so people probably tune out after 10 minutes of like, what is he saying? Or people just aren't interested in Party Cannon.
I think most people are probably not interested in listening to me having technical difficulties and having daft stories because they're not really living vicariously through me. They've had 18 months of staying in the house, been scunnered out of life, and then I come on and I'm like, oh, I had a great time. So I totally get that. And I told you this before. I expected people not to be interested.
Okay, yeah.
That's cool. I'm cool with that.
It's tough. The show is about our lives, so listen, motherfuckers. I also ran a poll to say if, for whatever reason, Mike couldn't make a show, I'd said that, you know, me and Melissa were just going to do one. I thought I'd put up a poll to see if people would be up for that or they would not be up for that. But I actually gave them three options. I said, would you like a show with just me, a show with me and Melissa, or no show at all? 40% a show with Melissa, 30% a show with me, and 30% no show. So, you know,
divisive.
30% of the audience think that if there's no you, there's no show. So that's nice, isn't it?
That's cute.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this recently, to be honest. Not to go off on a tangent, but Party Cannon have booked in pure wishful hope touring the States next year, early next year. I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But the idea being, we'll just record something remotely, and I'll be able to tell you a couple of things while I'm on the road.
If you can. I think
I'll make that work.
What would probably be smarter is if we have a guest co-host on the show, and then we'll have a section. Yeah, we'll have a section on the show that you can that we can film at any point and then edit in.
That'd be cool, even just for you and I to get a wee Skype call. Anyway, we can talk about it further. It's just me snowballing with what's on my mind.
That's kind of cool, because we don't want people to not have a show. And I know how it would probably be fine, but as you were talking about using a wireless rig for Bloodstock, it's party cannon, so something always goes wrong.
Oh, you've no idea, man. Like, even those 3 gigs there, one of the gigs we had problems with, it wasn't even the sampler that was the problem. It was when it was wired to the desk or whatever. I believe the sound guy thought it was coming from one DI box and it was another, and it was just like, just stupid shit that can go wrong will go wrong. That's the best way to put it. Yeah.
Well, being the kind of guy that's always up for looking at ways of monetizing the things that we do, maybe we have a fan on the show. Maybe we have one of our top supporters on the show as a co-host for a week.
That'd be cool.
There's some ideas. Anyway,
I think we'd be into it.
I mean, I'm sure lots of people will be into it. Getting to appear on YouTube and sit next to this motherfucker.
Pretend they're Scottish.
Yeah, exactly.
You can have a Countdown Killer crossover episode.
You know what? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
On that note, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at Ormsby Guitars, Rev Amplification and Vinny over at VPix. We were having a bit of a conversation with Perry just the other night, right?
We certainly were.
Update. He's having a shitter of it. Both their CNC machine and compressor broke down.
That's just Perry's luck over the back, man. Like, see how Party Cannon things always go wrong?
Yeah.
I think Party Cannon having the endorsement, or me even endorsement for Perry's, like a match made in heaven, because I don't ever see anything happens to him where it goes straight forward. It's never, we did this and this worked, and then that was it. It was always, every story I've ever heard is, we tried this, something went completely wrong, and we had to do something completely different to make it up. We got it working, but it wasn't as straightforward as it should have been.
Yeah, but exciting stuff coming up for those guys, and some changes to the way things are being done. I would say it would probably be a fair assessment without giving away any information. More options for customers, and more options are good.
Speaking of more options, I'm choking to buy some new pickups.
Oh yeah, and a skate deck apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but
I would actually like to get skateboarding because the wee man's enjoying going to the skate park on his scooter, on his bike. It was his birthday yesterday. He got fucking spoilt. Sorry. Anyway.
I thought you were going to say he got fucking wasted.
Aye, he ate his nut, man. Can't believe he's 6 now. In the garden taking street Valium. Mate, I'm going.
Yeah, nice. So we are going to start the show this week by reading a couple of bits of fan mail, because we got some fan mail. As always, please do send your fan mail into GsolesFanMail@gmail.com. We actually need to do a bonus episode.
We do.
We are behind schedule on that. So go and support us over on Buy Me a Coffee, and we will get you some. We'll try and get you a bonus episode this week.
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
I'm about it anyway, mate.
Yeah,
we'll do stuff.
So is this Michael Lysing?
Michael Lysing, sounds good. Hi Levi and Mike, I recently joined a German gear page on Facebook. Maybe an hour after joining the guitarist of known German metal band, which I like, private messaged me asking what style I play, what kind of gear I use, and if I'm happy with my sound. That already seemed a bit strange, but I wanted to see where it goes, hoping it wouldn't be a Dave Ellison situation.
Hoping it would be a Dave Ellison situation.
Nice. After 30 minutes, it culminated in him directly advertising his signature distortion pedal to me. I feel really conflicted about it. Desperate times, desperate measures, but I wondered why he had to stoop down to that level when he plays in a band that headlines smaller German festivals. The band already has a headlining tour announced in 2022 and has done headlining tours since he joined the band in the late thousands. I get that he has to make income during COVID, but it seemed tone deaf towards others who aren't in his privileged position. What about the musicians that had to rely on real jobs for the last 18 months to actually make a living and don't have signature artist deals to make a buck? Keep doing what you do. Mike Sing Sing. Aye, that's a really interesting one. A lot of the gear pages that I have either been involved in or I've looked at or read posts on or joined or whatever have like a kind of strict rule that there's no business advertising. It's all about personal sales or whatever.
Yep.
Was the gear page...
This was done privately.
Yeah, but is the gear page more about sharing your gear and talking about it, or is it like a buy and sell?
I see what you mean.
If it's a buy and sell, I think it's a... I don't like the idea of a business having a gear sale page for private sale customers to then monopolise on that. I think that's a wee bit...
I mean, even if you have it'd be kind of like me going in any of the buy and sell groups and then just messaging people and saying, "Have you checked out my books?"
Aye.
I wouldn't be breaking group rules. It would be kind of unrelated. It would come across as a bit desperate. I mean, I think my assessment on this is, I don't know if I'd describe him as being in a privileged position. It doesn't matter that he's headlining small German festivals, right? Melissa's headlining festivals in Scotland, and getting a decent. And I know, that it's not enough to live on. That's a bit of income for the summer type thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of having a signature pedal, well, I've got lots of friends with signature pedals and signature guitars, and I can tell you that they don't make enough money on them for them to be, their sole source of income.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say is they make enough on them that they wouldn't need to go out of their way to be selling them to people, because the products sell themselves. So actually, I would look at this situation and go, if he's desperately trying to sell his signature pedals to people, it might be because he's either trying to kind of justify his position with the company that has his signature pedal. He wants enough sales to come in so he looks good. Stuff like this tends to feel more ego than taking advantage of a situation.
I get you. Yep.
To me, it's kind of no different than people that have a part of MLMs on Facebook and they message you from high school and like, hey, I
haven't spoken to you in 20 years. Do you want to buy fake candles?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly. It's embarrassing, I think is the way I would describe it.
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
Yeah.
It's no good crack.
Because if you've got someone advertise, like they're messaging you and saying, why don't you check out my signature pedal? And it's like, oh, cool. Your signature being on that should be the marketing thing, right? Your signature being on that should be the reason people buy this product. If you're having to go out of your way to sell it to me, then it wasn't something I was going to buy in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't I just go and find the version of the pedal that doesn't have your signature on it? Because there's always a version of the pedal that just doesn't have your signature on it. You know what I mean? The pedal market is so flooded that there's no real reason to look at any one pedal and go, this is the solution to my problem.
Mm-hmm.
You look at this one pedal and then there's going to be 30 variants of that pedal. They're all going to do the same thing. So a little bit embarrassing.
I would be very interested to see how the conversation got to him recommending his pedal and whether it would be an actual fair recommendation to what Michael was saying in terms of what I'm looking for in my sound
point.
or not.
Good point.
Or if it's just a shoot it in kind of thing.
Yeah, Michael, I'd be interested if you were comfortable sending redacted screenshots so they weren't identifying or anything like that. I'd be interested to know how that came up.
I have a feeling I know who it is anyway, but that's totally beside the point.
Okay, cool. So to me, it just comes across as embarrassing. I certainly wouldn't look at this. And again, when you describe him as being in a privileged position, and musicians that have had to work real jobs for the last 18 months, well, a lot of these people that you're describing as being in privileged positions work jobs anyway. Work normal jobs anyway, because being in a band just is just not enough, is it?
Well, here's, without talking like it's, I know because I have been, it's different for every band and different for every situation, but I think it'd be fair to say that Party Cannon are known for having some good merch and for people buying the merch. I mean, we don't sell it in massive droves. We only really do things in runs of 100 to keep them limited, and then to keep the demand high as well. But we do all right. Between that and like selling merch and the guarantees, once we've taken all our fees and stuff off, our costs in terms of fuel and that, for that weekender, I think walked away with about 1,200 quid. For 3 shows, when you're maybe only playing 40 minutes, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
For the amount of time it takes to get all that involved in the gear and the travelling and the logistics, still all right, no bother. But then you split that between 5 members over 3 nights, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
Not that we split it, we keep the money in the band. But just to reinforce your point, there are not many bands out there who can go out, play a couple of gigs and walk away with it and go, this is actual profit.
Yeah.
If they were covering their own costs of taking it as a business and doing like an hourly rate or a fee themselves.
Yeah. It's just under £250 a head for 3 nights of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not
Minimum wage.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's minimum wage for 30 or 40 minutes.
Sure.
But that doesn't
It's
include the
not,
amount of time that it takes you to get down there.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not 30, 40 minutes of time.
Yeah.
It's 30, 40 minutes of actual work time, but all your days are taken up by travelling and doing things.
Totally.
It's not like you can be doing other things. So you're devoted to the tour while you're there.
Totally.
So that's
Just if that gave anybody another kind of anecdotal way to look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michael, get back in touch with us if you could with those screenshots. It'd be really interesting to see. And I'm happy behind closed doors if you want for me to guess who it is before you tell us. I've got a feeling I know who it is, but it could just be me being an arse. Anyway.
Okay.
Another email for Johnny Mittens.
Good old Johnny Mittens.
Hello,
I'm sure
Johnny.
he'll be in the live chat.
Aye, random thoughts in it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, after listening and interacting regularly, probably too regularly sometimes, I was disappointed to hear there was no fan mail last week. So much so I was inspired to put a digit to the keyboard and get in touch again. This is not about anything in particular, just a train of thought kind of thing, so bear with me. Johnny, you can send us anything, buddy. That's anything that we can read and chat about and have a bit of banter is fantastic. And as Levi said there, the Monday Night Guitar Geek Club always seems to be a good place for people to chat shit, so having somebody that's probably in the chat and their content being read out usually sparks more convo, which I'm down for. Firstly, Guitar Souls is pretty much the only thing I set my watch for. I don't watch TV and everything else on YouTube. I just catch up with when I can. Thank you. Guitar Souls is the only thing that it's like, it's Monday, it's 9 PM, my programme is on. I feel like an old man. Let's sit down and get the tea on, come on. I'm much the same when I get the opportunity. That's in large part to you guys, but also in no small part to the Monday Night Geeks. Oh, thanks. That's good. Secondly, I hope you guys will join me in lamenting the untimely passing of the amazing Joey Jordison. I'm not a drummer at all, but there was something about his playing that resonated with me. I'm not sure what he was like as a person. As you guys know, I'm not particularly interested in anything musicians have to say outside of their music. I hope he wasn't a dick, but even if he was, a hell of a drummer, and for the first time since time past, I'm genuinely saddened over the death of a musician. And I genuinely think that band wouldn't have done shit without him on the skins. Short anecdote about Jordison. My old drummer went to see Slipknot with another drummer friend of his. When they got back the next day, his friend sold all his gear and quit playing drums. He reckoned that he'd never be as good as that and therefore didn't see the point in carrying on. Personally, when I went to see Steve Vai in Wolves, I played guitar for 12 hours the next day. People are strange. Oh, totally, man. Sometimes you see people do things that are outrageous and it is inspiring. Like, I could well try something like that. And then other times you see them doing shit and you're like, nah. Like, I think the first time I saw Tosin, a bassy playing stuff in the 8-string and like slapping and popping and whatever else, I remember being like, oh man, I could do that. And I started practicing because I can play a little bit of bass. I can slap and pop and bass all right. And I just tried to do it in guitar. I was like, nah. Yeah. I know my limits, and that's one of them. Maybe it was just because I had an 8-string and I was trying to find a reason for having an 8-string.
Sure.
But outside of not being able to learn my sugar riffs, not really being able to play a lot of the After the Burial stuff, and not wanting to just drop down to drop E and chugga.
Yeah.
Aye.
Let's talk Joey.
I know, man. I don't really want to. I'm kind of hesitant. That's why I'm putting it off.
Yeah, big influence on both of us, no doubt in my mind.
Big influence on just about anybody. It's Slipknot were such an extreme band and somehow still one of the most mainstream metal bands. And I don't want to say extreme in terms of they were the heaviest. It's not like that.
Sure.
But let's be totally honest, man. When Iowa and Left Behind and all that came out, like people were like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
But were the rumours like it when you were at school about Slipknot, or when you were younger? Did you ever hear any rumours about them as a band?
Well, it is funny, isn't it? Because the rumours that went around about the shows being really extreme are just kind of commonplace in certain subgenres of music, areas that you're familiar with. But lots of stories of shitting and vomiting.
Vomiting was the one I heard. They used to take their masks off and were sick in them on stage.
Yeah.
And the other one was that they either kill the pig live on stage with a chainsaw, or they brought parts of a dead pig on stage. No, they didn't. Shut up.
Yeah. It's funny, right? Because like they're a hugely influential band, and I absolutely love them. I absolutely love them. Up until a point.
Aye, until they became Stone Sour Light.
Yeah.
And Stone Sour became Stone Sour Light as well.
Yeah.
Separate entities, they were all right, and then I think Corey Taylor just got a bit self-interested.
I know Joey's obviously had his struggles with substance abuse. He also has health problems. You know, the kind of the story of him leaving Slipknot is always been, he always put it down to him having health problems, and that he was carried off stage one night because he has trouble with his legs and like can't play. But also we know he has substance abuse problems. The band fired him, you know, when that happened. And only one of the band, and it was never revealed who, only one of the band members actually went to visit him in hospital. So they clearly had a very strained relationship. But when Johnny pointed out about like he doesn't think that band would have existed without Joey on the Skins and being as successful, I mean that's absolutely the case. It was him and Paul did most of the writing for the early stuff. So you know, there would be no Slipknot without Joey. And it's really interesting. Like he did write a lot of the guitar stuff in that band. It wasn't until later on that Mick and Jim were writing stuff. So yeah, he was absolutely a driving force in that band, and he was great. He was a great drummer, and I won't hear people say that he wasn't. He was a great drummer. He wasn't the best drummer in the world.
Have you ever heard anybody say he wasn't a good drummer?
Yeah.
Really?
There's videos on YouTube, because I was doing some research, and there are videos like of people showcasing how he's not a great drummer.
Those people are fucking idiots. Have they watched the Disaster Piece DVD where he spins on that kit and somehow still plays a ripping solo? Yeah. I don't care who you are. That's fucking ridiculous.
Well, what it seems to come down to is when people get annoyed when Joey is described as a great drummer, because some people probably go a little bit far with it and say that he's the best drummer, he's the best metal drummer.
Those are the same people that read Metal Hammer and think that Metallica are still the best band in the world.
Yeah. And the criticism that people fire back with are, yeah, but he's not the best metal drummer. There are other metal drummers from other metal bands like that do everything Joey does a million times better, like and a million times faster, a million times more technical. You go on the brutal death metal scene, and you know they're all going to outplay Joey.
How many of them have got a number one album?
I wouldn't even focus on that number one album side of things. I'd just focus on how much influence that these people have had. Joey has literally resulted in millions of people picking up the drums, I would say.
I can't think of anyone who plays music. Maybe, again, could be slightly biased for the fact that a lot of my musician friends are into metal and stuff, that haven't cited Slipknot as some sort of influence to them. And then specifically when it comes to drums, Joey Jordison.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many people, I can only imagine it being wild when you were jamming down in London, had the Joey Jordison sticks?
Yeah.
Everybody had them.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So to claim that Joey isn't a big influence and isn't a great drummer.
Yeah.
Come on. Who else has got or had metal sleeved drumsticks?
Yeah. He was our equivalent of like Tommy Lee or Neil Peart. The metal equivalent, you know. The showpieces that he would do are just, you know, the amount of attention that the band were willing to put on him at a time where they wouldn't put any real spotlight on any other members. You know, there weren't big guitar solo sections in sets, but big drum solos.
I think there was a great understanding at just how important Joey's sound and place in the band was.
Yeah,
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, so incredible musician, and it's a shame that his life kind of panned out, because he was how old was he when he died?
46, I think.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm sure I've got it.
46.
I can't do math.
It was the next headline down.
Yeah,
46.
46.
Fucking horrible, man.
I know.
Same with Dusty Hill. We need a bit of longer run.
Yeah, so I was going to use that and talk about Dusty, of course, because Dusty. It's funny. I was going to say that Dusty is probably a bigger influence on me. It's definitely not the case, because Joey was an important influence on me, and Slipknot were an important influence on me at a very important time in your development as a person. But I've easily listened to just as much Dusty as I have Joey, because I'm a big ZZ Top fan. There was a time at no point in my life have I ever talked about doing a Slipknot cover band, but I have absolutely talked about doing a ZZ Top cover band.
Really?
Yeah,
that'd be class.
Yeah, with Doug years ago, I talked about wanting to do a ZZ Top.
Did you have a name?
No, never got to that stage. I just liked the idea of standing up, and I would have been happy to go out and be Billy Gibbons or be Dusty or Frank Beard, to be fair. Yeah, so big ZZ Top fan. I think obviously, there are stories about Dusty, but I'm a guitar player, so I'm going to talk about Billy Gibbons, obviously. People need to give ZZ Top more attention. I think you go back and listen to the first ZZ Top album. I'm sure it's just called the first ZZ Top album. It's a great record. They're a great blues rock band that got more and more mainstream as the sound went on. Eliminator, of course, is fantastic. There's loads and loads of great tunes on that. Yeah, great band, just a great band. And Billy himself, I'm not going to say invented, but he's one of the first guys that you can hear on. He's one of the first guys that's recorded doing tapping. He's one of the first guys that's recorded doing pinch harmonics. So a bit of an innovator. And Dusty. What can we say about Dusty?
He had a felted bass.
Yeah.
And it was fucking ridiculous. And there are multiple gifs of all of the band with their instruments. Well, certainly of Billy and Dusty spinning those instruments. Yep. And that's enough for me.
Yep.
That's instant cool points.
How about if I told you he was shot once? Shot in the stomach.
Would not surprise me. Was it related to a gig?
Nope.
No? What happened?
Did it himself.
Smart man.
Did it himself.
How the fuck did he do that?
Pulling his boots off. His gun fell out of its holster. Hit the floor and shot himself in the stomach.
Nothing says rock star more than a self-inflicted bullet wound from taking off your cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Christ almighty.
So shame to see that. Now, of course, Slipknot are still out doing their thing, and they've not been with Joey for must be 10 years now. ZZ Top have still out gigging now. They're out gigging. They were immediately out gigging without Dusty. So they're still on the road, still doing their thing. And I'm cool with that. A lot of people criticised that, but those were Dusty's wishes. They just
it's a totally different scenario then, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not ignorance from them.
Not because he'd planned to die, because he was having health problems and he had to take a little bit of time off, and he wanted the band he wanted their tech, the guitar tech that's been with the band for 30 years, to just go out and play with them.
That's cool.
Because he wants the show to stay on the road type thing.
That's respect, isn't it?
Yeah. ZZ Top, an institution. So, everyone, if you're having a drink this evening, raise a glass to, of course, Joey Jordison and Dusty Hill.
Yes.
Legends. One gone way before his time, and one probably lived a fair bit longer than he should have, given the life that I'm sure he led.
That's fair. That's fair.
Legends.
Yes, I think we should move on to some more fun stuff, because I think we started off really dark there. And
sure.
Me whinging like a bastard, and then two really sad stories.
Yeah. Let's have a laugh at this then. So, Brad Gillis, my first gig with Ozzy was horrendous. At Soundcheck, we only played 7 of the 18 songs on the set list, and Ozzy didn't even show up.
Only 7 of the 18 songs.
Yeah. I posted a picture on Instagram, and I remember this reading when I read this story, because I was stood outside a chip shop in Troon, which is where I got lobster. Lobster from a chip shop. Fantastic.
I saw your photo.
And
the Scottish coast is amazing for seafood. Don't kid yourself on.
Yeah.
Anstruther, Troon, Largs, Ardrossan, and then you start going further up. You've got Pitt and Weem. You've got Arbroath. Yeah. Like, Scotland's class for it. You just need to go to the right places.
Sure. So I'm scrolling on my phone while I'm waiting for food to be done, and I see this story, and I read the headline. I'm like, that's insane. Let me read this, and I read it to Melissa, and I was like, only Soundcheck 7 of 18 songs, and then I was like, right, I'm going to share that to our group because I'm going to talk about that on the podcast. And I put my phone in my pocket, and then a man walked up to me and went, sorry to interrupt you. I just overheard what you were talking about there, and I'm a sound man. I'm a professional sound man. That's what I do. I've been a sound man most of my life. And if a band turned up and wanted to soundcheck 7 songs, it ain't happening. Like, I'd walk away from the desk and there's no time. That's ridiculous. That's entitlement. That's what that is. And that's what this is. Like, what did Brad Gillis? So obviously Brad Gillis, I say obviously, like, people don't know this. Brad Gillis stepped into Randy Rhodes' slot after Randy died. It was Brad Gillis and Bernie Torme stepped in on that gig. They were on tour. Like, it wasn't like they joined the band before the tour happened. The tour was happening. What did you expect? You know, like, to get a gig like that, you're gonna have to turn up and just play songs. You're just gonna have to make the best of a bad situation.
Essentially, being on the stage and having your live sound checked as a rehearsal.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about did he actually think there was going to be a sound check where he'd get to play all 18 songs? So let's actually read his quote here, because I didn't get that far with it.
Because it's a bit fucking much, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all him talking about gear. Not interested in that.
No, I don't care. Here we go. So, memories of your time with Ozzy. Yeah, okay. He played on the Speak of the Devil live album.
Right, aye, cool. Let's do it. So, what are some other memories of your time with Ozzy? You have to realise that after the sad death of Randy Rhodes, the band was going through a lot of emotional stress throughout the rest of the tour. So when I joined the band, it was quite a heavy situation. I can imagine, by the way, in big respect to Brad for recognising that and respecting that. Those guys would have been really, really struggling, and there probably was some animosity towards Brad. Like, maybe subconsciously, maybe that didn't happen, but it was just like something that the guys felt. But I would imagine if I was in Party Cannon and somebody had passed away and somebody else came to fill in, I would be definitely gutted about that person passed away, but also probably judging the person that's been sent to fill their boots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's only fair. Bernie Torme was playing guitar at the time in the interim before a permanent replacement was added. And when I flew to New York for the audition, I basically found out it was just me. So I did the best I could, practicing in my hotel room every day with a small amp, a boombox, and a live board cassette with Randy that had been recorded a few months earlier. At night, I would go to the shows to watch the live performance from the soundboard. I was amazed at the large castle, fire explosives, and the hanging of the dwarf. Realising that in a few days I was going to be up on stage. I'll never forget the sound man looking over at me and laughing, saying, "You're next, buddy." My first night was quite a horrendous experience, because not only was I scared to death, at soundcheck we only played 7 of the 18 songs set and Ozzy didn't even show up. My first gig was sold out in Binghamton, New York for 8,000 people. That was basically my entrance into Ozzy's world. I ended up botching Revelation, Mother Earth, as I ended up coming into the fast section too early, and the whole band looked at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" I stopped playing, regained my composure, and finished out the song in the set with no other major mistakes. The next night, before we went on stage, Sharon came up to me saying, "Bradley, you're doing a great job, but tonight, don't fuck up."
Yeah.
I think that takes his comment were really, really out of
of course.
Context, didn't it? But at the same time, like, can feel why he's saying, I mean, it wasn't very good that we didn't get to play the full 18 songs. I mean, I fuck that for a live set, for a sound check of any degree, but for that being his first time genuinely playing with the band, aye, that's fair enough, innit? Like, and credit where credit's due to Brad, he's obviously done a good enough job where he had one mistake that he can think of and everything else went well.
Yeah.
Which could not have been easy.
I thought that Bernie Torme, and it's been 15 years since I read this, so the numbers are probably hazy, but I thought he only played 2 shows. But evidently he must have played a few more shows, because Brad there is talking about going, and watching the show every night from the soundboard. Maybe it was 2 weeks. Maybe he played with him for 2 weeks or something like that. Point is, he wasn't in the band for very long at all.
No, he was not.
Not an easy gig, and there was definitely a lot of hostility towards him. And after he left and Jake Lee stepped in, there was more hostility to him. That didn't really pipe down until a fair way into Jake's run in the band. So, but of course, I'm going to say famously. I'm not famous or anything, but I'm famously not a big fan of the Jake Lee albums. I thought I was. I really did think I was, and there's some incredible guitar playing on them. But Jesus, I think the songs and the production are awful on those 2 albums. So
I like Bark at the Moon.
The song "Bark at the Moon" is fantastic, and there's "Slow Down" is also on that "Bark at the Moon" album.
That good?
It's a good tune, yeah. But the keyboards on those 2 albums it's the wrong era, wrong period. It's there's just way too many keyboards over both of those records. But like I say, the guitar playing is outrageous, absolutely outrageous. So I'm sure we were talking about Jakey Lee it was in the comment section on the last podcast, maybe the one before that. But we were, it was the one where we were looking at his signature model came up in
That's right.
Charvel.
And it's got the reverse pickups to go the wrong
And
way.
it doesn't
not to go the wrong way.
And it doesn't have a tremolo on it because he plays fixed bridge. And people are like, is that right? Has he always played fixed bridge? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. That's the focus. That's always been his thing, that he always played a fixed bridge, never had a trem.
Mm-hmm.
He does stuff at the tuning pegs to simulate the sound of the trem, and he does like behind the nut bends and things. And there's some great live footage of him like during his guitar solo where he's doing all these weird fucking dive bombs and pinch harmonics that he's bending behind the nut and shit. And honestly, you close your eyes, you're like, that's got to be a Floyd Rose. That's got to be a Floyd Rose. He was really good at getting that sound.
That's clever, isn't it?
So, there we go. Let's quickly do the Dream Theater, announce their new album title, and share the cover. And have you seen this? Do you care about this?
I haven't. I don't care. But we'll do it, of course. There's plenty of people out there who like Dream Theater. They might be embarrassed about it. They might cover up their tattoos. But obviously they were fans at one point.
Yeah.
They've announced a new album title and they've shared the cover art. So the album title is A View from the Top of the World, is that?
A View from the Top of the World.
Top of the World, yep. And the album art is essentially, is that the standing stone?
Bring it up for
is that what they call it? I think that's a real place on Earth, unless it's based on a place on Earth and they've just photoshopped those giant boots in.
It looks like a drawing of the real place.
Aye. Hanging Rock or something it's called.
Right.
Cool art, I'll give them that. I'm not interested in the album, got to be honest.
7 tracks.
Not one of them is under 6 minutes.
Long in length, as you'd expect. Mixed by Andy Sneap.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Has Andy Sneap ever done any other productions before?
No, don't believe so.
No, because he's usually more like Arch Enemy and Kerrang bands, as bad as that sounds.
Well, John does have 8-string stuff on this album, so.
Oh, that's right. He's got an 8-string now because he just needed one.
Yeah. I'll check it out and see what he does with an 8-string.
Did we ever have a conversation about his 8-string and what scale length it was going to be?
No.
Because I can guarantee it's going to be like 24.75 or whatever, like his 6 strings.
Yeah.
And he's just not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bad time.
Here's the shady thing, right? If that's the case in the studio, it wouldn't be uncommon for a producer to be like, that guitar just really isn't working. Like, we're not getting the tuning stability that you need. Yeah, here's something else. And
like a baritone 7 or something.
Yeah.
Aye, totally get that.
Or something with an ever tune in.
Which makes way more fucking sense when you're tracking stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure
Especially when
he'll
you're tracking extended range, sorry.
Happily do his best to plug how great the Ernie Ball is so he can sell 10 million of them.
I'm not going to lie, I've played a few of the John Petrucci's and I don't like the look of them, but some of them are tremendous.
Sure.
Like the Music Man stuff and Ernie Ball is generally just well made.
Yeah.
I mean, that's undeniable. Whether you actually want a Majesty or not, or whatever.
Yeah, they're not for me.
Nah, not for me either.
Having said that, like as the years have gone on, I always remember thinking that when the Majesties, even before that, when he was just playing the regular Ernie Ball signature that he had before the Majesty, I was never into them. I was always like, why would you go there when you were playing Ibanez? Your Ibanez guitars were cooler. But I'm finally of the opinion now that the Music Mans are cooler.
The big problem I think he had with Ibanez is that he didn't actually really have any interest in signatures.
Yeah.
He had RGs with different paintwork.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted one of those Picassos, the regular Picasso.
I get that. I mean, I think quite a lot of people wanted some of these beautiful guitars, but at the same time, I can see why you'd be like, this isn't really for me. If another company are going to offer you, and how many fucking different signatures has he had?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just makes sense, doesn't it?
When I was in college, I bought an Ibanez RG7321, the cheap 7-string that they had at the time, and I sent it off to a spray guy.
7321, yeah.
To refinish it as a Picasso graphic, but with blues and purples. Sorry, pinks and purples. Pinks, blues and purples. So there was a point where I was playing a Picasso, John Petrucci Picasso finish. And
how did it come back?
It was all right.
Just all right?
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, ultimately, it's an RG7321. It's just not a great guitar.
Not a terrible guitar.
Not a terrible guitar, but my other guitars at the time were like the Ibanez PGM 500 and 400. PGM 400.
Higher range, basically.
Much higher quality guitars. So
the 7620s and 7640s are pretty good.
Right.
And you can still pick them up fairly cheap second hand. So if you're ever deciding you want to buy an Ibanez 7-string, not that you would need it.
Got an Ormsby 7-string.
No, you would need it.
Okay, so let's do this. Ryan Adams, shunned by the music business and scared. Please the labels to rescue his career. I got to be honest, I don't know who Ryan Adams is.
We covered Ryan Adams 2 years ago. He had a
Okay.
signature GHS pedal which got cancelled or was rebranded, and we spoke about it.
I'd take your word for it.
Basically, what he was doing was offering to help young women
Right.
jumpstart their music careers,
Okay.
and then trying to chase them sexually, and in some cases being very aggressive and horrible when he was rejected.
Right.
So seems like he's a bit of a sexual predator.
Right.
I
did read
from what I remember.
I read his quotes, and it's just cringy. So let's do a brief run through of
Yeah.
this.
The first sentence of what he says, I'm just like, you are a disgusting human. Ryan Adams, the singer-songwriter who had been largely persona non grata in the music business since multiple women alleged abuse beginning in early 2019, has taken to Instagram to beg record labels for a second chance to make some music, saying he is scared he will lose his home, his studio, and his indie label in the coming months.
So here's
Oh
the quote.
no! The consequence of my actions! The desperate tone in Adams' Instagram post has been evident for weeks, but came to a head in messages he posted early Tuesday in which he said he expected to be homeless soon and implored labels to help other people believe you can get up out of the gutter by helping him release music. Before I read the quote, maybe there is a bit of grey area here, because I always believe in trying to give people a second chance.
Yep.
But I don't think the second chance should be you don't have the repercussion of, or that you're allowed to continue to be a well-earning musician just because you got caught.
Well, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of the situation, but we have to stick with alleged. You know, alleged.
Okay, alleged. Sorry, yep.
Because I'm not going to say I'm sure there's truth in these, because I don't know. There's probably truth in these.
I think when multiple of the same allegations come out, there's usually a good idea that somebody's not just colluding. But I get you.
I mean, apparently, fucking Cosby's innocent. So
I hope you're saying apparently. Really apparently.
Well, he's out of jail, isn't he?
Okay, I don't think that really means he's innocent. But
no, I know. That was the.
I get you.
Yeah.
I know I'm damaged goods, he wrote. I know I am, and they aren't the ideal thing, but I had a label interested for months and they wasted my time. I'm months from losing my label, studio, and my home. I just really want a second chance to make some music. Maybe help other people believe you can get up out of the gutter and be something. I'm 46 and scared I'm going to be living in my sister's basement. If you are a label and interested, please let me know. Sent with love and humility. I already got dropped by Capital twice. Maybe someone still cares. Another post read, please, if someone takes a chance on me in this music, I'll bust my ass to support it. Sorry to sound desperate.
So my take on this is, while I don't get on board with cancel culture and things like that, when you talk about like consequences of your actions, I'm not going to say the ability to work, losing that ability shouldn't be a consequence of your action, but people not being interested in what it is that you're doing anymore is absolutely that's an obvious consequence of any action.
Yep. We don't want to work with you because you are bad news. Let's
not even go with that. Let's ignore the working with you. People don't want to buy what it is that he has to sell. So I wouldn't even look at this and say record labels are saying you're an asshole, we don't want to work with you, because record labels work with assholes all the time.
They do. But that's assholes that they can market and make money off.
But that's the point, right? So record labels aren't doing the virtuous thing here in the slightest. Record labels are looking at this and seeing the obvious, which is we could put an album out with you, and we would if it would make money, but no one will buy your album.
That's it.
And therefore, we're not going to work with you. So this desperation where you're begging a label to work with you, dude, it's 2021. The internet, quite popular. It's everywhere. You don't need a record label to make an album. Make a fucking album and put it out and sell it.
But what he means is, I want someone to give me money to work on my stuff so that I've got more time.
Yes.
I want someone to give me a big advance that lets me make sure I'm keeping my house. I want to be secure.
Yeah.
See, that's the one sentence in that did my tits in, is the maybe help other people. Maybe help other people believe you can get up out the gutter and be something. Wait a wee second. You were cancelled for allegedly. I have to say that because Levi's been a big smart arse. Allegedly.
Only because I literally don't know.
No, you're right. Essentially being a sexual predator and taking advantage of young women who were trying to get a start. So for you to claim that you want to show people that you believe, or to help them believe that you can get up out the gutter, you're not trying to get up out the gutter. What you want is to be freed from the consequence of your actions.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the consequence necessarily being that you're starving and losing your house and whatever.
Sure.
I wasn't the one who was being a sexual predator.
He's also not. He may be starving, but it's because he's holding out on doing the thing that he wants to do rather than just doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Tesco's, I'm sure they're hiring.
There's plenty of places that could get work.
Code.
Even better than that, I know, get reskilled, come on. If you come to Britain, they'll reskill you for free. Musician, shite. There you go, your toilet cleaner now. No, but not even that, like, he's clearly got some songwriting ability. Why not just
write for other
become
people?
A ghostwriter?
Yeah,
exactly.
write for other people.
Change your name, when you're writing stuff, get established, send that to musicians and say, listen.
Not even that, just ghostwrite, send your stuff to a publisher, get a publishers would absolutely just work with you if your writing is good. Mm-hmm. Publish all your stuff under a pseudonym. You do fine. Mm-hmm. You just do fine. You'd be okay, but he doesn't want that. He wants a record deal. He wants to be the face of things, and it's going after things that you can't have. That's the cringe here. That's the embarrassing thing. Yeah. Just accept it. You fucked it. You have fucked it for yourself, and you know that. And the reason we know you know that is because you're not trying to self-release, right? If you have a fan base, you don't need a record label.
I think even more interesting than that is the fact that he has his own studio, so he absolutely could self-release.
And a record label.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, just to summarise, I don't think this is, to go back to that sentence because it's really a fucking bee in my bonnet, that this isn't you trying to get back up out the gutter. This is you trying to scramble your way back up onto the pedestal that you once had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't deserve it.
Well,
you abused that power.
It's not even that. So it's not scrambling, not pulling himself out of the gutter. Mm-hmm. It's asking for someone to lift him out of the gutter. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing I hate more than expecting someone to lift you out of your situation. Right. Like I don't talk all the time, but I have often talked about how I came from poverty, like nothing. And I'm where I am now because I fucking scrapped, and I'm an asshole, and I fight with people all the time because that's just the kind of consequence of having to spend 35 years of my life fighting everyone for anything. I'm not 35 actually. I don't know why I said that.
But you dropped the gun.
But you know what I mean? Like just scrapping for every opportunity and scrapping to prove yourself and like not be pushed around, etc.
Especially in such a market like this where people will, and this is just a sad truth. There are a lot of musicians out there that will do their best to help you and support you, but there's also people who will undercut you and they'll stand on your face for the opportunity to smell someone's arse. Yeah. And that's just the fucking horrendous truth that the music industry is filled with really horrible people. Yeah. But it's the same as any business, especially any saturated business where there is high risk and potential high reward.
Yeah. If you sit around and say, please help me, I could be sitting here and whinging about, I don't know, someone like Rick Beato, who I've talked about doing a cross-promoted video with him, a collaboration, producing videos with each other. That's been years now, and it's not happened. And I can sit and whinge about that and whinge and whinge, but no, fucking move on with your day, get on to other things. Like you will lose too much by focusing your energies on things that haven't happened. So Ryan Adams, pull your finger out your ass, stop whinging about where your career used to be, and go and make something of yourself, son.
Yes, go manifest destiny, you prick.
Yeah. Continuing on with music business stuff, though, D. Snider says that Twisted Sister royalty checks are a joke. This is an odd one to me.
Why?
Well, he sold, like we reported on this, I'm sure, recently, that D. Snider sold.
This is a good episode because both of us have forgotten previous stories that we're talking about. So he sold all his rights.
Well, it makes sense, right? Because I am going to remember all the music business things that we talk about, whereas you're going to remember all the sexual assault stuff that we talk about.
I was going to say social justice, but thanks, Levi. I'm glad that you think that I am some sort of sexual assault fucking
savant.
Aye. That terrible choice of words, but also perfect. Thanks. D. Snider said Twisted Sister didn't receive a penny in album royalties until 1998, and that, despite selling millions of records, the payments amounted to a joke. In a recent interview with the Metal Voice, the frontman recalled how their initial success period had come and gone before any money came their way, and it didn't seem to include a share of the sales they generated before splitting in 1987.
I don't buy this. I just don't buy this.
No?
Nah, read the quote.
Twisted Sister didn't start receiving any album sales royalties until we recorded Heroes Are Hard to Find for the 1998 Strangeland soundtrack, Snider said. In order to get the band to reunite, the record label wiped our debt out. That was 1997. The band had been broken up for 10 years. We had sold tens of millions of records and we had not gotten one royalty check. Either that or the record label have been keeping all the money because they've owed them for whatever advance they had, and that's been why he said he's not got royalties.
But but they've sold millions of albums, right? So they should have paid their advances off, no problem.
Well,
this is at the peak of the record industry.
You say that. What was their fucking advance?
There is
Twisted
that.
Sister have had a lot of money thrown at them.
Well, that is true. But then, if that's the case, and I'm not going to criticize Dee Snider for not understanding the music business, because he's a man that's totally clued in when it comes to the business side.
Oh, he's super eloquent.
And maybe because of things like this, this is, I want to say, make better deals. Think about the consequences of the deals that you're making, etc. If you've made a deal whereby you get fucking a £10 million advance, and then you're annoyed that you don't immediately start getting royalty checks, well, you're an idiot, right? If the label's going to give you a massive advance like that, it's because they want to make more money off you in the long term. So
investment.
Yeah. So
But I've really been annoyed that, like, if you went to Dragon's Den and got an investment, that they wanted their money back and more.
Yeah. So to look at this and complain about your royalty checks not being big enough, the only reason that you could complain about not getting royalties for your recordings is if your advances were only big enough to just pay for the recording. Then there would be a massive injustice here. But you don't seem to talk about that, and that strikes me as a little bit fishy. You got your money because you got money. It might not have been from royalties, but you got money. And because if you didn't, you wouldn't have kept making albums.
Well, here's the second part. Yeah. The second paragraph here just kind of lines up what we're saying as well. So to go back to what Dee Snider said, he added that as the subject of reuniting was discussed, Atlantic Records boss Hammett was consulted. Somebody brought it to his attention that we were still in the red after all these years. He said they were trying to get us together and said, Hammett, would you please just wipe these guys' accounts clean? Hammett, we got enough from them. And Hammett probably didn't even pay attention or know these things, but he saw it and said, they paid enough, cleared the debt. And so we've been getting royalty checks. So that's it. You weren't not getting royalty checks, you were clearly in debt to the label for whatever the deal was. Snider continued, the ones we should have gotten for those big ones we never got. In 2001, Napster came out, so a few years later, people stopped buying records, so royalty checks are a joke.
Yeah.
We're blaming quite a lot of things here. Elsewhere in the interview, the singer said he was comfortable with taking responsibility for Twisted Sister's original split. A lot of the younger generation has a tendency to point and not want to take responsibility for your actions, especially when things go wildly wrong. He argued, when I screwed up Twisted Sister, and I did, it was me. I didn't point fingers at the other guys in the band. At the end of the day, I was the problem, and I am the reason we broke up. I take full credit and full responsibility. He added, I also take credit for the good things. We sold 10 million records. You're welcome.
I like him. I don't like Twisted Sister, but I like him.
I liked his speech to the PMRC the same time that Frank Zappa did his.
Yeah.
And it was like reactionary parents versus actually eloquent musicians.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a fair fight.
Yeah.
Was the way to put it. I'm not joking, because all you really needed was Dee and Frank, and not a single argument for the PMRC was actually relevant.
Yeah.
Just wiped.
So I like him, and you sold 10 million records, so you got your money. You got a lot of money. And of course, how do I put this?
Or you should have got a lot of money from the record sales that you already got in advance from your advance for the label.
I also just like talking about stories like this because it's, I don't mind, musicians arguing that they deserve better. I think Dee Snider's probably of an era of the music industry where you probably didn't deserve better. You probably made more money than any musicians are ever going to make in music ever again. But from an audience perspective, I think it's worth pointing out, just reminding people that there's more than one way to make money in the music industry. When you put out an album with great songs on it like this, there are more ways to make money from that than just from what you're getting paid from the record label, because you're publishing, which is not the recording, but the actual song itself, the intellectual property that is the song, the concept rather than the physical recording. The record label will own the recording of that particular song, but Dee owns the song. That's the actual song itself. And the amount of money that he will have made on publishing from We're Not Gonna Take It. You know what I mean? Like,
he was hope.
Yeah, he made a lot of money. Because I like that. I mean, much respect when somebody takes full credit and responsibility for things that have gone bad. Taking full responsibility for that is cool, because based on the narrative that you're trying to tell people here, we didn't get any money whatsoever until 1998. I mean, I'd blame that. I'd be like, we've been doing this band for 20 fucking years and we've not received a single penny, so we broke up because of that. And you couldn't make that argument because obviously you were making money. You weren't making as much money as you wanted. And I don't want to say, oh, you're a greedy bastard, because you weren't making as much money as you were generating because record labels are greedy bastards.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Right.
And I think I would probably be in his shoes and be slightly envious of seeing the amount of sales that are going through for the album and then realising that you've already had your cut of it.
Yeah.
That's the gist of it, man. What can you do?
Let's finish up with a double Gibson whammy. So Slash signs the new Gibson record label for upcoming album, Gibson Records.
Another blatant force into the music industry by people with too much money and not enough actual sense.
Mate, they are putting so much into this stuff now. Like they're competing with Fender for the guitar tuition market as well now.
Oh,
you get the Fender Play ads everywhere you fucking go, right? And you know, learn guitar from the most trusted name in musical instrument. It's like, what? Learn guitar from the most trusted name in music. That's like going to BMW to learn how to drive. You know, it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. It works as a marketing ploy, it works, but that's because the people that you're selling it to don't have any critical thinking skills. You manufacture instruments. That doesn't mean that you have any idea how to teach musical instruments. You are a company that was formed by a man that didn't play the guitar. Like, come on. But it works. So Gibson are putting just as much money into their teaching platform now. Jamie Humphries is doing most of the videos for it, and let's just say I know how much they're paying him. They're putting a lot of money into getting this stuff off the ground, and could potentially be a very dark future for
you know, in general,
for music education, because Gibson and Fender already between them have the market share of guitars. They don't have a monopoly, but they as near as
they might as well have. When it comes to actual mainstream retail, then they have the stranglehold.
Yeah,
there are no two bigger brands.
Yeah, so for them to do the same thing on the educational market could potentially be a real kick in the balls for great companies out there that have built their entire brands, built their entire companies on the fact that, well, we are teachers. This is what we do. We are educators, and our entire company was formed by great educators wanting to pass on great education.
Do you think that Gibson have brought in some people to do it, or they've went in-house and they're probably going to just assimilate other smaller places?
They're bringing people in. Like I say, they've got Jamie Humphries doing videos for them. But still, it's...
Did Jamie write some of the syllabus and stuff, or do you think he's been told what to teach?
Jamie's in a weird situation. So they have... I don't know how they make them, but they have transcribers that transcribe songs. And then those transcriptions get sent to Jamie for him to do the videos of. And he has commented that some of the tabs are wrong, you know, inaccurate, because it's almost like companies like this don't give a fuck. They do not give a flying fuck.
It would not shock me if some of the tabs came from like Ultimate Guitar and stuff.
Wouldn't shock me in the slightest.
It's just,
I won't name names, but in the past, when I have been working for companies creating instructional product which doesn't really leave much to the imagination, when certain products were being put out, I would reach out to the people making the products and say, this band's just released a new single. It would be really good if we could put the new single on there. And the email I got back said, I'll look into it. I'll see if there's a tab for it on Ultimate Guitar. It's like, hang on a minute. Please don't tell me that when you come in and teach stuff, you're just getting tabs off of Ultimate Guitar. Please tell me that's not what you're doing.
I like the idea of having that resource, but it's certainly not something to be dependent on.
Yeah.
It's not as if it's like, I don't want to say peer reviewed, but there's not, other than a wee voting system, it's not as if somebody's coming in and saying that's not how it's played. Yeah.
So, okay, go on, give us a read of this.
Slash's fourth album with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. Fucking hell, man, I cannot talk. Let me reset myself. Slash's fourth album with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators is underway, and it's going to be a first release on Gibson's new record label, Gibson Records. The label, which will be based in Nashville, Tennessee, comes over a century after the instrument company was founded. They've also announced they've entered a strategic partnership with BMG. Fucking hell. Launching a record label that is in service to our artists is the natural evolution of our 127 years of history. Gibson Records will work with Gibson artists to capture, record and promote their music under an artist-friendly partnership, says Sergei Khan, brand president of Gibson Brands, said in a press release.
I'm going to interrupt. I like the idea there, but of course, this is saying that we are a record label founded on the idea of giving further privilege to people that are already in very privileged positions.
Mm-hmm. We want to enhance the value of our brand and no one else's.
And also, I've often criticised in the past musicians' thoughts that endorsements bring you prestige, and it's not that way. You get prestige and then you get endorsements. So you get a record deal, you put albums out, you have enough of an audience that you then get endorsements. Mm-hmm. Whereas this is literally saying, well, if you can get endorsements, then maybe you can get a record deal.
If there's no chance I was playing in previous bands that I would have got an endorsement.
No.
Party Cannon's been lucky enough that we have a big enough public following and profile that there was a relationship there to be had. So you're bang on. You're absolutely right. Gibson Records will keep all of us at Gibson focused on our artist-first culture. Serious?
Well, at least you acknowledge that artists are more important than quality control.
Credit to credit, that's fair. Gibson Records will keep all of us at Gibson focused on our artist-first culture that is engaged and connected to music. This just gets worse as you read it. We're excited to launch Gibson Records to announce that Slash is our first signed artist and that we have entered into a label partnership with BMG. Why do they fillet Slash so much?
I know.
Slash has been one of Gibson's signature guitarists for decades. He told Vintage Guitar that his first ever electric guitar was a Memphis Les Paul copy, and he's been loyal to the Les Paul model ever since. Is that why they gave him an Epiphone Thunderbird or Firebird signature?
Sure.
And he's also got a Mockingbird that he plays that's not even a Gibson. Gibson even has its own Slash collection, which you can check out here.
No, thank you.
No! It's an honour to be the first release on the new Gibson Records side of the new record label. It's a zenith in our partnership for sure, and having worked so closely with Gibson for so long, I know there will be a label that genuinely supports their artists creatively. Not just me, but all the artists they choose to work with. It's perfect. Of course you're going to say that.
Yeah,
they've been sucking your dick for 10 years, supplying you with nothing but hunters of money.
Try 30.
You know what I mean? But even the last 10 has been pretty fucking strong for Slash. Every story you see about Gibson is Slash.
Yeah.
What can we add? Slash?
So much so that literally the last episode, the thumbnail was Party Cannon and Slash. Like, we were talking about him just last fucking week. So that's why I want to move on from that. Although, Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators, we want to get conspiracy theory here. As time goes on, I just get more and more... I buy into this idea more and more that the people that bought Gibson were a conglomerate of famous guitar players. I feel like Slash has a financial stake in Gibson now. I feel like Bonamassa has a financial stake in Gibson.
It's funny you say that's exactly what I was going to say. Is you're definitely knocking on familiar doors with that one, because we did speak before when Gibson were in trouble about how Bonamassa was looking at going into partnership with other investors.
Yeah.
So there's every chance that they have set up like a conglomerate. That's the right term for it, isn't it, as you said?
Well, conglomerate's like a collection of big businesses.
Aye,
but in this context, probably not the right. But let's go with a shadowy cabal.
A shadowy cabal. Fuck's sake, a clandestine operation network.
Yeah. So final story with Gibson announcing their partnership with Kirk Hammett, because again, got to have those big signings. Got to get the big names.
That's how I feel about Kirk Hammett and Gibson. Yeah. It's just, I'm not interested. And here he is with Peter Green's Les Paul.
Just so disingenuous to sign. It's the Dave Mustaine situation all over again. There is nothing more disingenuous. It's Kerry King. There's nothing more disingenuous than working with a brand for as long as you do, and then going to another brand and talking about it like it's a big deal for you. Like
I've always
like
wanted
your fans are going to buy it. Like you are in. Kirk Hammett is in the biggest metal band in the world, who have been the biggest metal band in the world for decades. They are not even, there's no one even comes close to as big a deal as Metallica, right? You could have been with Gibson, you could be with any company in the world, and you could have been for 30 solid years, but you chose to be with ESP. So do not tell me that you're finally I can join the Gibson team. Finally I've reached the zenith. Finally I'm a big enough deal that Gibson will take notice of me. Fuck off.
It's staggering that people still talk that way.
Yeah.
And like, just recognise where you are, and what level you actually are at, and see when you put these like press conferences out or whatever you're doing your press pack, be sincere. Come on. So the new partnership will span across Gibson brands, including Gibson and Epiphone guitars, obviously. Gibson, the iconic American instrument brand, has announced an official brand partnership with Kirk Hammett of Metallica, one of the most iconic rock guitarists today. The new partnership, it's repetitive, man. It's a really great and exciting time for me to be joining forces with Gibson, says Kirk Hammett. I look forward to achieving great things together in the future. It's an honour to welcome the icon, the Ripper, Kirk Hammett, back to the Gibson family. Back? says Cesar Geichen. Kirk has been carrying the flag for hard rock and heavy metal for decades, and his Gibson guitars have been there with him from the very beginning. From his first Gibson, his 1979 Flying V, to Greenie, and everything in between, Gibson guitars have an integral part of Kirk's sound. Have they? They've got an integral part to his sound. Sorry, just getting distracted by the big man taking photos of me. At what point has Kirk had the Gibson to be responsible for his sound in any way?
He played the Flying V.
He did. But it's not as if it's Gibson pickups that he had in anything like that. Like, as far as I know, it was EMGs. So that's the majority of his sound, if that's what you're arguing about. And he's been a signature artist with ESP for 25 years.
Yeah.
So to claim that Gibson have been integral to it is a bit fucking stupid. All of us at Gibson are looking forward to this collaboration and are grateful that Kirk has trusted us to begin a new partnership. His statement, to be fair to Kirk, actually just sounds like, I'm Commander Shepard and this is my favourite shop in the Citadel. It's a really great and exciting time for me to be joining forces with Gibson. I look forward to achieving great things together in the future. Really, there's not much an endorsement.
I'm going to throw a little, not a factoid at you on this one, but a little bit of an Easter egg, if you like. My logo that desperately needs updating. The old cartoon of me with a Vigier and no beard. If you look at that, I'm wearing a couple of bits of. There's 3 logos in that. In that, there's a Vigier logo on the guitar. I'm wearing a Thank You Scientist t-shirt, and if you look at my shoes, they've got the N7 logo on them.
Aye,
yeah.
You sad that
Mass Effect shoes.
That's class.
Because I had a pair of Mass Effect shoes that I loved.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had the Mass Effect trainers.
How did you feel about Mass Effect 3?
Loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
Despite all the shit?
Didn't care.
Was it still playable? Most people I see talking about it made out that it was an absolute shit show.
I talk about this often. I think that gamers have this far too big a sense of entitlement. It's what you saw with The Last of Us 2, why it was panned by so many people. Because
people pan that because they're dicks.
Because they didn't get the story that they wanted for their characters that they somehow feel that they have some sort of ownership for. I would agree that with Mass Effect, the audience was sold an idea that wasn't fully realized, like a fully personal ending for the choices that you made, and it was really boiled down to 3 endings. But the journey is just as important as the destination, and the Mass Effect 1 isn't incredible. Mass Effect 2 is excellent, and I loved Mass Effect 2. I actually think that the gameplay of Mass Effect 3 is even better. So, loved it.
I think the complaint wasn't the gameplay, wasn't it? Not. It was actually more so the story, the voice acting, and the mechanics. I think because there was a lot of bugs.
A few bugs, but nothing game breaking. And actually, Mass Effect 3 brought in multiplayer, and it's one of the few online multiplayers that I loved.
Really?
Yeah, I played the online multiplayer.
Don't imagine you played multiplayer.
It was team based and waves. So you were a team, and waves of enemy AI would swarm your position, and it was it was good. I enjoyed it. So I liked Mass Effect 3 a lot. I didn't play Andromeda. I own it. Of course. I only heard bad things about it. We went off on a hell of a tangent there, but Commander Shepard and the Gibson are the best shop on the Citadel type thing. Because
I'm glad you liked that reference, by the way. I didn't realise you were such a Mass Effect fan.
Big fan. I think I care more. I want people to remember Mass Effect more than Kirk Hammett signing with Gibson. I think that's more important to me.
Yes.
And not in a shady way to Kirk Hammett. Like, we give Kirk a lot of shit on the show, but like it's just banter, isn't it? Like, it's just.
Don't wish him any actual
He's an easy target.
Yeah,
like,
he's low-hanging
to make fun of the wah pedal and all these things. We cannot change the fact that he is in the biggest metal band that has ever been and will ever be.
And probably will be the biggest influence on any musician that you know, regardless of whether they admit that or not.
Yeah.
Not a single person on this planet hasn't listened to a Kirk Hammett solo when they were younger and been like, fuck, I want to play guitar.
Yeah. So, he doesn't deserve the bash, and it's just fun and games when we do it. And, to Jeff, who is a student of mine, patron, fan of the show, etc., who takes massive issue with Kirk Hammett playing the Peter Green Les Paul. Like, I often talk about this. Like, I got to play that guitar before Kirk owned it because it was sat in a bank vault and it was brought out to be reviewed in the magazine. And that sucked. It just sucked that this legendary guitar was just sat in a vault and no one could see it. Like, it's now owned by somebody that loves that, and he paid a lot of money for that guitar.
Even the Hard Rock Cafe, they've got a much better setup in that. Like, the guitars are being kept and looked after. You want to go and play, I think they've got one of Jimmy's Strats and stuff. Right. Like, you can go and put your hands on them.
Right.
It's not as good as being in a player's hands.
Sure.
And somebody owning it privately, but at least there's some sort of public access to it.
Yeah.
Versus what you're talking about, something being kept in a bank vault and you have to have special permission to go and see it.
Yeah.
Fuck that, it's a guitar.
Yeah.
It get played.
Yeah. So it's although Kirk's not a player that I give two shits about anymore. I think it's cool that he's wearing his influences on his sleeve. I think it's super cool that people would turn up to the gigs with pistols if he changed the pickups in that. But the point is, he wants to play that guitar, and he hasn't gone, well, I'm gonna put EMGs in it. Like,
maybe he didn't. He was told no.
I would like to think that he's got a bit more taste than that.
He's got more than enough money and resources to not have to worry about what pickups are in his guitar and what guitar he's playing.
Yeah,
because there will be somebody, if not multiple people, within Metallica's live staff, it's probably the best way to put it, that'll know how to get the tones matched to whatever he's using.
So, I'm happy for Gibson, I guess. I just hope consumers can see through the bullshit. Thank you very much for your story, Kirk. Continue to do what you're doing, because I'm sure you will. He also made a comment recently talking about he's seeing so much division in the world, and he hopes that the new Metallica album can break through some of that division. And it's like, you're not going to change the world with the next Metallica album, man. You're like 118.
Unless they do a cover of Earth song. Yeah! I'm the trees.
I like that bit of singing. Mike, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at Ormsby Guitars, Rev Amplification and Vinny at VPix. Please do go and check those guys out. They are awesome. We love our gear, we love our stuff, and I mean, I'm trying to, like, with the Rev stuff, I'm toying with this pedal board, like, and the hybrid rig. Do I want to use that as my guitar amp in it? It's probably got a bit much overdrive on it, to be honest.
But you can clean it up.
Can clean it up, yeah. But it seems not a shame, but
it's not as if the clean channel doesn't have plenty of headroom. You've got 120 watts of fucking valve power.
20.
Oh, you're talking about the G?
Oh, the wee one. Yeah.
Sorry, I was talking about the.
No, because the whole point of that is I want a wee rig.
Right.
The one cabinet with one bass head on it and one guitar head on it.
I get you.
Yeah. So toying with how that's going to work. I'm sure I can make something work. Kind of disappointed that they don't have a bass amp, because then
I'm sure if you reached out, they would maybe build you a dual amp.
I mean, last time I reached out and asked for a cab, I've still not heard back. So.
Oh well, fair enough.
Those guys are just so unbelievably busy. Good for them though. Good for them.
Absolutely.
Bad for me, but good for them. As always, please do go and check us out on Teespring, link in the description. Buy me a coffee, link in the description. Bonus episode hopefully going up at some point this week. Any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, and ideas, email us at GsolesFanMail@gmail.com. Anything you'd like to add?
Just thanks once again for supporting us. Sorry that I was a boring cunt last week and that I dropped numbers. If you want to see less of me,
Grab that.
If you want to see less of me, just say so.
And he'll go off screen like that.
I'll just go away. Forever. Ever.
There we go. It showed up, guys. Pretty guitar, right?
A really good sounding guitar as well, actually.
Nice guitar. I like it. I like it.
It's interesting.
Got Phil Cross doing a scratch plate for it at the moment.
Nice. Of what?
Little rosewood teardrop thing to go in here to make it look a little bit more like a jazz box.
I was going to say very jazzy.
Yeah, I'm going to change the pots because this one's a little bit fucked. Change the knobs to something a little bit more classy. I mean, these are actually really nice with these rubber bits.
They're actually fucking cool.
But I want something maybe wooden. That's going to again just play into the jazz box look of it. But yeah, all in. Very.
What did you say the scratch plate was going to be?
Rosewood.
Why don't you ask Phil to make you some rosewood knobs?
Because asking someone to make you a rosewood scratch plate when they've got lots of little offcuts of rosewood kicking around, nice and easy. Whereas saying to someone, I need some knobs, feels like a bigger job. They need to source the right thing.
It sounds like you trying to chat somebody up.
Sure. I can just buy those things.
I need some knobs.
Constantly need knobs. Cool. So yes, thank you very much for your love, kindness and support, people. Mike, until next time.
Bye, fuckers.